everybody. Happy Tuesday. We're back with Coffee Talk. My name's Dr. Erica Barrett, and this is Ellen Carosa, our head LVT here at Nova Cat Clinic. And today we're going to talk to you all about sibling issues or roommate issues, because they're not always
especially coming back from the vet's office when one of them leaves the house, which is a major stressor, comes here and then returns home, and then suddenly your two cats aren't getting along anymore. Well, what do we do?
Yeah, they smell different. It's because, remember, cats really care about the way things smell way more than we do. So we have to be careful when they start to smell different, because they're like, I don't know if I recognize you. You smell different. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's hard. So one of my tricks that doesn't work for everybody, but works for some people, is when you get home, you put a dab of vanilla extract on their heads and on the base of their tails. And then it sort of, feel like it resets a lot of them, and then they don't have this issue. I usually recommend that if you do have any type of sibling issues or roommate issues or whatever you want to call your 2 cats or 3 cats or 4 cats, that when you bring one home and it hasn't been around everybody for a bit, they keep them in a separate room for a little bit just to kind of let them cool off. You know, maybe they didn't like it when they gave us blood today. Maybe they need to take 5 minutes and think about it and just calm down. Maybe they need to meditate however cats meditate. That's an option.
One thing you do need to remember is if when you're using the vanilla extract trick, is you don't use a lot of it, because cats have a more sensitive sense of smell than what people do. So while we may think they smell like chocolate chip cookies, well, your cat doesn't appreciate smelling like a chocolate chip cookie. In all honesty, they probably have like a really overwhelming sense of vanilla that's going on. And that kind of makes them rethink, well, what should I be upset about? Should I be upset about my friend who went to the vet, or should I be upset that I smell like a chocolate chip cookie? My butt doesn't smell normal anymore. What do I do? So they're busy worried about thinking about that. So just a little bit. Other things you can do is simply use pheromone products. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's several different companies that make pheromone products now. The number one company that's been out there that started it was Seva for Feel Away, mm-hmm. and they even have a brand new one called Feel Away Multicat that is meant for intercat aggression. Mm-hmm. It's a different formulation than the regular Feel Away, which you can use in conjunction with Feel Away Multicat. So you can use both of them at the same time, and that might help reduce the amount of stress in the home. It is recommended, though, that you just don't put the Feel Away plug-in when the problem occurs. If you know your friend is going to the vet's office, put the plug in a day or two beforehand so the cats can acclimate to the pheromones, and when the cat comes home again, continue to use it for the next several days afterwards. And hopefully that might be able to tame down some of the inner cat aggression that you see coming from the vet's office. But keep in mind, when your cat does go to the vet, it's not just stressful on the cat that's going to the vet. It's really stressful on the other animals in the household. You have just completely upshifted the whole entire home.
Mm-hmm. And remember, cats like consistency. They like their 4 walls. When somebody leaves their 4 walls and comes back, who's always there, and something's different, that's rough. It's hard. I will say for Feel Away, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I plugged a Feel Away adapter in a couple months before I gave birth, and then it was a couple months after. I used that in concert with Zilkine. And I will say I didn't use Zilkine. I used Calm Diet. That's right. I don't know if Zilkine was on the market. I will say subjectively multiple times, I thought in my head, wow, these cats aren't fighting as much as I feel like they should. I can't tell you what would have happened if I hadn't done that, because clearly I did that. But I remember thinking multiple times, subjectively, I feel like they should be fighting more than they are, because my cats have a lot of redirected aggression towards each other when something goes wrong, because I wasn't a good cat mom for Cosmo. It's okay, I didn't know any better. Did the best I could, but humans aren't always the best bottle moms. And he doesn't always have the best coping mechanisms as a result. So I remember thinking subjectively that I thought that it was a good product. Now, if anybody in your household, humans, not cats, are asthmatics or are sensitive to smells and things, you probably shouldn't use Feel Away adapters. Or if you do the sprays, make sure the cats don't see you spray it. And then if you notice you're having symptoms, don't use it. Like, we can't use it anymore because my daughter's asthmatic. But I remember thinking subjectively that it was good. Another thing you could do, as I mentioned, is while I was talking, when I said something about Zylkene is a casein supplement that you can put in their food. Most cats eat it without an issue. You could start doing it a couple days before the vet visit and then follow it a couple days after. Whenever we go out of town, I'll give it to my cats for a couple days before we go out of town. No one can give them anything while I'm out of town because my cats are not always very nice to most human beings. Ellen's like, no, your cats are not nice. Okay, it's fine. They love us.
That's okay. My old cat was a jerk to just about everybody that came into the house, and they, once you told them, like, well, this is how this cat is, just accept it. Everything's cool.
Yes, when you walk in my house, the first thing anyone tells you is, don't look at the orange cat. Just pretend he's not there. If he sits on you, don't pet him.
Yeah, he's all about the making eye contact on purpose.
So I do think that Zylkene helps them not be as stressed, even though no one can give it to them when we're gone. Like my cats are stress pukers, and they don't puke as much when we're gone. Is there a question, Sophie?
There is a question. Skater2228 asks on Instagram whether you can use Feel Away intermittently or if you should continue to use it constantly.
Depends on which Feel Away you're using. If you are using the plugins and you have a consistent problem at home, it's advisable to use it for at least a few months. Sometimes it's a permanent addition to your home. Now, if you use the spray, you can use the spray intermittently. Okay, that's what the spray is meant for, is you use it as like an intermittent basis. You can spray it on a blanket, shake it out, because it does have a really intense alcohol smell for the first few minutes. You don't want your pet laying on that. But you can use it on an as-needed basis. You have to remember, pheromones aren't miracles either. It depends on how well the cat responds to them. I usually have Feel Away plugged in my house year-round because I have cats constantly coming in and out of my home, and it's a stressor to everybody else in the house. And unfortunately, one of the big stressors in my home is when I don't have kittens. That's when Benny tends to get one of his herpes flare-ups with his eyes, is when I don't have kittens. So I have to make sure I have several of these plugged in my home. I have one on every single level to make sure that he is actually calm too. And then he also gets this on his bedding and everything. But if I don't have kittens, he's walking around the house like... And then as soon as I have a kitten comes, it miraculously goes away. It's the strangest thing. He stresses out over different things. He stresses out when kittens aren't there, not when we bring somebody strange into the home. It's really weird.
He's so sweet. He's such a good big brother. He's like Uncle Benny. Like, hey everyone.
He's a cat.
Another thing you could do is we could potentially prescribe things that help kind of take the wind out of your sails if this is something that happens multiple times. There was one person I used to see at the clinic I worked at before here who every time he brought one cat in, he brought the other. And if someone touched one cat, they also had to touch the other cat, even if there was an issue with the other cat. And like, if we took blood and we used alcohol on one's leg, we had to put alcohol on the other's leg.
They gotta smell the same.
They gotta smell the same. And I think that did help him with his two cats, but I also don't know if he was doing any of the other things we talked about. And there's a question, Sophie?
Yep. Space Bellatrix would like to know that her cat has been attacking her for the past 2 days. What does she do? Please help.
Oh yeah, you need to see the vet. Your cat should not be attacking you. There's something that your cat is telling you something's very wrong. Now, whether or not you initiated something that your cat suddenly doesn't like you. Some cats get very territorial when other people come into the home and they don't like it. Her cat does it. They don't like it. If you did something different to the cat, like if the cat's laying on the bed and you move something suddenly, you spooked it, etc., some cats will have a negative reaction to that and will take it out on that person because you're the one that created the distraction. So it's important to kind of try to figure out their triggers. But if your cat is just suddenly attacking you, that's a vet visit right there because something could be very wrong with your pet.
And if you can get a house call vet to come, this way they can see the environment. Right. Maybe they're seeing something that you're not noticing.
And videotape any odd behavior that your cat is doing because that helps the doctor kind of make a process of elimination of what potentially could be going on in the home. Right.
I always think that things that happen in the house, it's always good if somebody can come in and physically see it, if it's possible. Because, they might not notice anything, but there might be something. I know for some of my acupuncture cases, that I do for other vets, when I walk into the home, the first thing I notice, Might be that they might not have told the vet that all they have are hardwood floors and there's no rugs or anything. And, you know, the pet's slipping a lot. And the first thing I do is say, you need to get this or you need to get that to help with that. And there's another question, Sophie. This will probably be the last one, and then we'll have to cut it off because I have appointments. I'm sorry.
No worries. Rescue In Style would like to know, how do you know if the cats are fighting or playing?
Oh, you know the difference between fighting and playing.
So playing, you know, can be rough because remember, cats are predators. They're species of prey and predation, and they're predators. So when they play, they can play rough. However, if either of them have dilated eyes, pupils, not the whole eye, the pupil, if they have a very aggressive look.
Yeah, the ear is completely flat and back, and the hackles
their ears
will go
are back. If they're using their claws, usually when they play fight, they don't use their claws. They're not like ripping out fur, things like that. They're not going after each other's scruffs.
Right.
I think that's a key. Unless your cat was raised by a human and doesn't have good coping mechanisms or know how to talk to other cats well,
he might not play nice.
He might not know how to play nice because he's not very smart. He's wonderful and loves me, but he's not very good with other cats. If your cat was raised with other cats, they know how to talk to other cats appropriately, and all of the things I mentioned are not okay. And that's usually more territorial or aggression. Do you have anything to add to that, Ellen?
Well, I mean, when you're looking at a cat that's actually wanting to initiate a fight, a true fight, territorial fight, get out of my way, versus play fighting, you really have to pay attention to their body language. And you can find a lot of awesome posters online on cat body language that lets you know when something is really wrong. So when a cat is actually going to fight and they get into that predatory mode, they'll get as big as they possibly can. The ears will go flat and completely back. Their muzzle will spread open, and they'll actually do some intense vocalization. And you might see some of those videos like on AFE when people are taking these little animals and making their cats start doing that no, 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 and they get really scared and intense. That's a cat that's getting ready to nail you, and you deserve it if something happens that way. I'm sorry, in all honesty, you do. You don't do that. You put that animal into a position that it doesn't want to be in, and now it's going to attack. So that's the kind of body language that you look for. But if you have blood, hair that's flying all over the house, the cat that won't leave the other cat alone, they're urinating and defecating out of fear, that's a cat that's initiating a true fight. And those are the things you need to be aware of. Versus just play fighting. They chase each other around the house, they may leave each other alone, they may initiate some intense grooming afterwards, versus the big time fighting. So you really need to understand cat body language when it comes down to that.
And if you have any questions about that, you can just shoot us an email or message us, and we can put a couple signs up. I know we have a couple signs up in the office to show what the difference is between fear and like aggression. Sometimes fear can come on from stress too, so it's important to understand that if you're doing something that's stressful to the cat and it's fearful and it starts having these things, you should know. Like last night, I was in the shower and I decided I didn't need 2 loofahs anymore. I don't know why there were 2 loofahs in there, so I threw out my old loofah. And my poor little cat, my little girl cat, I didn't realize she was sitting right outside of the thing. So I took this big loofah and I threw it in the trash, and she freaked out and ran away. And I didn't see her for the rest of the night. So that was fear.
Right, and it's a stressor in the home.
And if she was a different type of cat, she might hide for a couple days. She might start having redirected aggression. Like that's, I didn't mean to scare her with a loofah. My other cat didn't care, but he also doesn't understand how to be a cat all the time.
Right. So. I remember years ago, one of my cats got stuck when I was taking in groceries, got stuck to a plastic bag handle, and she ran around the house with it like a Superman cape on it, and that cat was never the same ever again when I brought groceries home in the house.
Oh,
I mean, she would just gone the entire day because you knew I was bringing groceries in. It was all because of something she did, but it was a stressor that I was part of. So on Sundays when I would come back with the groceries, I would never see the cat because she knew that I did something bad. I was basically bring groceries into the home. She was playing in the bags as I was going ahead and putting groceries away, and she got caught in the handle, ran around the house, and that cat was never the same after that.
On Sundays. With
On
groceries.
Sundays,
the rest of the time,
it was terrible. It was like the
you
most.
Must have felt so guilty.
It was really sad. We had to cut the cat out of the bag. It literally take a pair of scissors and cut her out of the handle.
Thing.
So, you know, you just don't know what kind of stressors will trigger a cat.
Yeah.
So you have to be just really aware when you have them in the home.
But it is important that when there are vet visits involved, that you do think about it and consider using Zilkeen or Feel Away or one of those things. But we, you know, that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for sharing this time with us. We appreciated all the questions today. If there's any topics you want us to talk about, I'm not promising that we'll do a video tomorrow, but we do try to aim for Wednesdays. So we'll see how it goes. It depends on the cats that are here. Because like 2 Wednesdays ago was kind of crazy. Or was it last Wednesday?
And
I don't
might be
know.
a snow day tomorrow. We're supposed to get snow in DC, therefore it's going to be complete Armageddon out here, even if there's like a couple of flakes.
It's
Nobody knows
only
how to
supposed
drive.
to be
It's
a
terrible.
half inch, so we'll be okay, hopefully. But thanks for sharing this time with us. It's great to see you all. And if we can help you in any way, just let us know. Bye.